Great having you on, and honored
Thank
to
you.
talk to you, right? Especially as someone I looked up to going forward, and following the Leafs and the signing of Stolarz, coming from Florida, and Woll. Like, how do you feel about their goalie position? Heading into this year, obviously with young Joseph Woll kind of getting the keys to the castle here.
Well, I really love Wall. I like the way he plays. I think he's definitely the goalie of the future for the Leafs. And, I'm a little bit worried with his lack of experience. I think only being 25, being probably number one goalie in Toronto, it's a lot asked, out of you. So, I think his technique and, his size and all that, I think he can do it. There's no doubt in my mind that he's a good goalie. And with Stolarz, he doesn't have a whole lot of experience himself, only 108 games in the NHL. And although he's 30 years old, he's won the Cup this year, so that'll give him some experience. But and he's a really good, proven number two goalie. But going into the season, with the pressure you have in Toronto, for sure, you have your reservation, but they're two capable goalie, and I think if you can surround them with some guys that, and I think that's what they're trying to do, some good veterans in defense. I see why not. I think they can do it.
Well, that's where I want to go with you is like, how much is this about the blue line? And it's always fair to ask a goalie, somebody who played at a high level in this league, how much is this about the blue line as opposed to like the crease? Because I know every year, and Jiggy will get to it, this market, there's just so much noise around the crease position. How much of this is about the blue line?
Well, when I won in 07, we had Scott Niedermayer, Chris Pronger, Francois Beauchemin, and Sean O'Donnell as our top four. And guys that, could play 20, 25 minutes any game, and they were tough to play against. It really made my job much easier. I think at the end of the day, as a goalie, if you have guys that are tough in front of you that can log the minutes, that are, safe, they limit the mistakes as well. Once you get into the playoff, it's a lot, more reassuring as a goalie. And, I think that's, you can never have enough veteran, as long as they're able to keep up with the game, they're healthy. I think that, they'll help you in the long run, and especially when you get to the playoff, because the Leafs, we know they can score goals, but you have to find a way to win those 2-1 games, tight games in the playoff. And you can only do that with a strong defense in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. My year in St. Louis, when I had in my career year, our D, we had Pietrangelo, Bouwmeester, Edmondson, all these guys that played very predictable hockey, which helped a ton, obviously, and my stats and my next contract. So, but, for you, Jiggy, like, looking at the way you played, like, I was more like a street hockey goalie. And then, like, I tried to pride myself on finding more consistency and structure, where you were so good on that. Like, where do you see the game now, like with the way the goalies play now, and the way the game's opened up a bit, and like how a goalie manages a game compared to when you played?
Well, first of all, I'm happy I'm not playing today, because it will be a nightmare. But, I think you really have to have a mix of both. You need to have a good technique, because in the hard time, I think it's going to, it's going to come and help you if you're lacking confidence, or you're struggling a little bit in your game. I think it's going to help you to have a strong foundation where, you can just rely on that to try to keep, at the end of the day, it's always about giving one less goal in about 2 or 3 game period, right? So I think having a strong technique will help you but then with the speed of the game today, the way it is, I think you need to be fairly athletic as well, because you're going to have to do some saves that are out of your comfort zone. They're out of your technique. You're going to have to do the splits. You're going to have to do a bunch of stuff that are a little bit like Bobrovsky. I think he's one of the best at that. He has a really strong technique. You can tell that he plays within his rules, or his foundation that he set up for himself. Every once in a while, he'll come out with a save that is just amazing. Only very athletic goalies can do that, and I think you really have to have a mix of that. This is what I see a bit in Woll too. When I watch him, I think he's a big goalie. One of those guys that fits the bill of today's NHL goalie, big and tall. But he's also athletic, and I like his technique. He doesn't try to do too much. He's just very simple in the way he plays, and I think that's going to get him out of many jams.
It's true, and everything's under a microscope, Jiggy, in this market. This as good as we do, obviously. But the noise surrounding Woll is about the injury history. That said, it seems like every goalie in this league gets hurt at least once a year. The volatility surrounding the position, I thought that was a great question by Huts about where you see the crease in 2024. It's just a lot different. Why do goalies get hurt so often, in your opinion?
Well, it's just so demanding. It's so fast. You do movement that your body probably shouldn't be doing. And I think, that's why you need a good goaltending, duo, even like trio. You need guys that can come and help you. And I think it's impossible. You shouldn't really play more than 50 games in today's game. I think it's just too fast. You need the rest. You need to make sure that your body recover after every game. And I've played years that I played 65 games. I think wasn't my most, but I don't think it would be possible today in today's game. It's just too demanding. But so that's why I think you need to have three good goalie guys that can play. I think Matt Murray will be number 3 in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And I think that's a great, because it gives him a chance to get back into the fold. And maybe, if he gets a chance, maybe he runs with it. When, I've seen crazier thing, I guess, in the game today. So I think it's good to have 3 good goalies that can help each other.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think for Matt, coming off double hip surgery, there's potential for him. He's been a winner. He has experience. And, for me, Jiggy, like thinking about this year and Connor McDavid winning the Conn Smythe on a losing team, something that you dealt with as well, right? Obviously, I know it's easier now, I'm sure, to talk about it. But, I think a lot of people viewed that and different people had opinions on it. What was your take of Connor McDavid winning that? And also, what did you go through, in that moment? Kind of, I guess maybe walk us through what he would be going through in a moment like that.
Well, as soon as the game was over, somebody from the NHL came and got me and told me I'd won the Conn Smythe and that I should stay on the ice and wait until they gave me the trophy, right? And honestly, as a player, it's the last thing you want to do, right? You just want to shake, the other team's hand, leave, especially when you're on the road. It's very an awkward position to be in because you're just standing there watching them celebrate, waiting for them to be ready to give you the trophy. And and as you play that sport with your teammates. You don't really care about individual trophy. You won the Stanley Cup. My whole youth playing street hockey or going to the park playing outdoor hockey or whatnot. You always dream of winning the Stanley Cup. This is the main goal. This is what you want, and you suffer for 2 months as a team to lose in Game 7. Like that, it's very heartbreaking. So, it was a hard moment for sure. I'm super proud of it today. I think one of my greatest achievements in hockey, and I'm proud that I won that trophy. But I would trade it any day still today, for another Stanley Cup. There's no doubt about that. But it was really a mixed feeling. I couldn't wait to go back into the dressing room with my teammates and have our moments together. And I feel for Connor. He played so well and deserved that trophy in my mind. I do think that he should have gone and accept the trophy at the end of the day. I think the game is always bigger than the individual, and this is a major trophy for the NHL. It's something, it would have showed kids, I guess, that winning or losing, you still present yourself the right way and accept your faith. Easier said than done. I get it. I think he's an amazing player. He's an amazing ambassador for the game. So it's hard to imagine what was going through his mind. I know what it was like. I still would have taken the picture and leave, but it's not easy for sure.
It's funny you say that because even thinking as you answered that, I'm sure you got a bit of heat for accepting the trophy in your day, and McDavid got heat for not accepting it. I don't think there's a proper answer. I really don't, because I sort of felt from he's still getting shit on social media over that. But when you're the captain of that franchise, I get why he didn't, but I also get why you'd want to do it too, right?
Yeah, no, there's no right answer to it. I think at the end of the day, I think it would have shown great respect to the game to just show up and take the picture. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. We don't know exactly what was going on in his mind or in his dressing room and all that. I think he was already in the dressing room. To have to come back to do that, that's tough. I stayed on the ice because they kind of asked me to stay on the ice, so I didn't feel comfortable just leaving. Every situation is a little bit different. Thankfully, we don't see that very often too. I think we all prefer having a winning guy winning that trophy. A lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable. But that's every 20 years, not so bad either.
I like how rare it is. You should have won it. You did win it. I thought McDavid should have won it. He did win it. Unfortunately, on the wrong side of the stick when it comes to the Stanley Cup. Now, getting back to your time with the Maple Leafs, I know we had you on last year and we went in depth in your career as a Leaf. Maybe if you could just speak about how it is to be a goalie in this market, how demanding it is, how different it is from other markets in this league.
Well, I was like in my early 30s, and I really enjoyed it. Like it was fun. I was coming from California, where I played there 10 years. I needed a change of environment, and there's no better change than to go from California to Toronto. It was fun to play in a city that really hockey is number one, where people really care about the team. You could feel the enthusiasm around the team that we had. I'm not sure why, but anyway, the enthusiasm was there big time, and it was a great experience. I felt people were really respectful, like as far as my personal life. If I go to the restaurant and stuff like that with my wife, people would just let you be, and I really enjoyed that part of it. My personal experience hockey-wise was a little difficult. I actually got hurt so many times in Toronto in the year and a half I was there, so it was difficult to really get going. And I never read the paper, watched the news, or listened to any radio shows and stuff like that. So I'm sure I was getting buried. But if you don't listen to it, at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt you, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. It's obviously a different animal too. And I think for me, even we talked on this earlier in the show about when I first came in the league, social media wasn't really around. And then by the end of my career, it was everywhere. And I'd be getting all sorts of messages, like if I didn't play well when I was in Buffalo and whatever was going on with it. So, for these younger guys, you talk about this core four in Toronto, what they deal with on a day-to-day basis. What do you think they can do as a team to get better and just to like eliminate the outside noise? And just what's your overall feel about the core four here in Toronto here? Obviously, it looks like we're running it back here again with this group.
Well, I'd love to play for that core four. I think they're very talented. They can score a lot of goals that we know. They can play well, and I don't think they're that far from being a team that can compete for the NHL. I think if they can put some meat around that core four, some good, they can do some damage in the playoff. At the end of the day, I think they got to stick together. They got to make sure that they're the leader of that team, so they'll go as far as they want to go. And they got to push each other. They can't accept, half measured and stuff like that. They got to make sure that they're in it for the right reason. They're in it to go all the way. And from day one, when you show up at camp, you're not thinking training camp. You're not thinking the regular season, how many points I'm going to get. You're thinking Stanley Cup from the beginning. And I think that's the only way you can think of. You can't put any doubt. There's no doubt. If there's no doubt in their head as far as a core four, then there will be no doubt in the dressing room as well. So I think they got to make sure that and I think they have enough experience now to that's their time right now. They're no longer young guys. They're guys that they're veterans. They know what it takes to win. They know they've lost before. They've had some hard loss. So I think there's something to be done with I think any team in the league would probably take those core four. So I think you got to be happy when you got talented player like that.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Roseau. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.